Hello, my name is Nathaniel, and the book I read was Loki's Wolves by Armstrong and M.A. Marr. Its genre is fiction, action, and adventure. How about some fun facts? Fact number 1. Cale Armstrong was born on December 14th, 1968 in Canada. Her full name is Kelly Armstrong. Fact number 2. Armstrong has written many books, such as these books that I have never heard of: The Summoning, The Reckoning, The Awakening, and others. Fact number 3. M.A. Marr was born on July 25th, 1972 in Pennsylvania. Her full name is Melissa Marr. Fact number 4. Marr has written other books such as Wicked Lovely, Darkest Mercy, and others. And just to clarify, Others is not a book, to the few people out there who thought that was the title of a book. There are 3 main characters depending on how you look at it. There can be 3 or 4, maybe 6. But let me tell you about the main character. He is a 13-year-old kid named Matt, and he lives in South Dakota in a town called Blackwell. He's a descendant of Thor that has to fight in the Battle of Ragnarok and win. So no pressure or anything, Matt, but I like living. As I said before, Matt lives in South Dakota in a town called Blackwell. The story probably takes place around 2003 to 2011-ish, because Matt wants an iPad and an iPod. I mean, who wants an iPod these days? The thing is, most people in Blackwell are either a descendant of Loki or a descendant of Thor. Most descendants of Loki are usually called raiders, and they live in camps around the town. Most of them do, at least. The descendants of Thor have the last name of Thorson, which is basically Thor and Son mixed together. So Matt and his family are all descendants of Thor. They also have necklaces that they wear that are able to throw an invisible punch, as Matt says. Apparently, Matt also has thunder and lightning and other fancy stuff, so it's not very discreet. Matt, like most people, has a family. His dad is the sheriff, and he has 2 brothers who both do football. But Matt doesn't like football because it's too dangerous. Oh, wait, never mind, he does boxing. Next up is Fenn and Lori, the other 2 main characters. They're cousins. They're also descendants of Loki. They, like Matt, also have special abilities. Fenn can turn into a wolf at will. He's like a werewolf, but without the moon. The other descendants of Loki, aka the Raiders, can also turn into wolves. But not Lori. No. Lori can... Well, Lori can... Okay. I'll be completely honest. I don't know what Lori can do. But I'm sure it'll show up eventually. Now for the actual story, which I'm pretty sure is what you all came here for. But just so you know, this is the kind of book that'll go to a different person's perspective every chapter. So in one chapter, you might be reading from Matt's perspective, but then in the next, you're reading from Lori's. So it starts off with Matt walking home. Completely normal, right? Well, on the way, he sees Fenn and Lori trying to take a shield from a longboat. If you don't know what that is, it's exactly what it sounds like. Here's a picture. So the 2 troublemakers were trying to steal a shield. Matt decides to confront them about it, then ends up accidentally using his hammer, which is the necklace, on Fenn and pretty much KOs Fenn and gives him a black eye. Later, Fenn goes back and gets the shield. He then meets up with the leaders of a pack of raiders. If you don't remember, raiders are the people who live in camps that can turn into wolves. The leader of the pack is this guy named Skull. He has a twin sister named Hattie. During this meetup, Fenn is told about Ragnarok. Basically, there will be 2 sets of champions in place of the gods, because all of the gods are dead. Some gods you have there. They then tell Fenn to find the champion for Thor, which will obviously be one of the Thorsons. Fenn was not happy about this. He took the shield to pay things called dues. Long story short, when a descendant of Loki is born, they have to pay dues. Normally, the parents would do this. You can either pay your dues or go lone wolf. Lori's dad went lone wolf, so that's why he's barely around, and now Lori has to pay her own dues. Fenn wants to protect Lori, so he's paying her dues for now. Also, Lori had a dream that she was a fish, a salmon to be exact, but apparently it felt really real. Now back to Matt. Matt had a dream that these 2 wolves were chasing the sun and the moon, which were in 2 chariots pulled by 3 horses. The wolves are apparently going to catch the sun and moon when Ragnarok comes. Then in the dream, boom! The wolves catch the sun and moon. Today is also the science fair, where Matt didn't do his project. He ends up just doing a project based on the dream he just had, and he presents it to the judges, and he ends up with a B. which we all know stands for below average. He also tells his grandfather about his dream because his grandfather asked about his inspiration for his project. Also, today is Veterblot. That's the festival for winter coming. During the festival, there's an assembly. During the assembly, they will talk about issues. There are also a bunch of mosaics in the rec room, which is where the assembly is. One of them is where Thor fights the Midgard serpent and wins. But then the serpent kills Thor when his back is turned. People also get to eat. Yay! Matt sees the seer throwing runes and making pronouncements. After everyone ate their food, everybody went to go sit down and listen to Matt's grandfather talk. He tells them that Ragnarok is gonna happen. Then the seer comes up and tells everybody that Thor's champion is gonna be Matt. Afterwards, Matt walks around the fair, and then he sees a little girl on her own. He asks if she needs help finding her parents. Then she tells him that he needs her help. Then she tells him to find Odin because Odin will help. Then when Matt asks what he'll help with, she says that she doesn't know, that she only knows the present and that he needs to hear. She then runs away and Matt does the only logical thing to do, which is running after her. As I said, this is the kind of book that jumps to different perspectives, so I'm sorry if it sounds confusing. So Lori is walking around the fair, and then she runs into a kid with blue hair who claims to be Odin. Afterwards, he also says that his name is also Owen. Lori, being super smart, just assumes that he's part of a play. Afterwards, she goes to look for Fenn and tells him about her dream. So Matt was running after the girl and followed her to the rec center. Inside, he can hear his grandfather talking to the other elders. The girl tells him to listen, and then he listens in on the meeting. While listening, he finds out that his grandfather wants Ragnarok to happen, and that the elders agree. In order for that to happen, Matt has to, guess what? He has to die! He then realizes that he's talking to a Norn. The Norns are just these three ladies that know the past, the present, and the future. He finds the Norn for the future, and she tells him to find the other descendants of the gods. Also to find Odin's descendant especially, because they'll tell him how to kill the Midgard serpent. If you don't remember, the Midgard serpent is that snake in the mosaic where Thor dies. It's the thing that kills him. So he has to find the other descendants, as I said before. Well, for all he knows, one of them could be in another continent. Luckily, they're all in South Dakota. Apparently, Loki's villain will lead monsters to fight the other descendants. The Norn says that it's up to Matt whether or not Loki's descendant will lead the enemy. He asks where Loki's descendant is so that he can get him on his side. The Norn for the present points at Fenn and Lori. Matt says that Fenn won't help him, but uh-oh, the Norns are gone. So Matt goes and tries to recruit Fenn. Fenn doesn't want to, and they end up fighting. They eventually get surrounded by adults. Uh-oh, looks like you're in trouble, buddy. Wait, no, never mind. There's 6 Raider Scouts. You know, those people who can become wolves at will. They start to attack Matt, and then eventually Fenn steps in to help him. Matt ends up fighting the leader of the Scouts, and the leader becomes a wolf. Well, you can't really fight a wolf and win, so guess that's it for the story. Let's roll the credits. Just kidding. Fenn ends up stepping in as a wolf and fighting. Oh, and I forgot to mention, on top of this fight, in the middle of it, a tornado appears. But there are still other human Raider Scouts. Suddenly, another person appears. It's Lori. They all start to run away from the Raiders and hide in the longship so that they don't get blown away by the tornado that's also there. Lori finds out that Fenn and most of her family are wolves, and that her dad is a wolf too, and that's why he's gone so much. She finds out a lot of stuff. Lori and Fenn both agree to go with Matt, stop by their houses, and then leave Blackwell to find the other descendants. They go to the woods for the night, and Matt has a nightmare. When he wakes up, Fenn says that he can hear something. They end up being found by Valkyries. Valkyries, if you don't know, are basically women that ride on big horses and fight. The Valkyries tell Matt that he has to find 4 things: the shield, Thor's hammer, and the feather from each of Odin's ravens. By the way, it's not just any shield, it's the shield. So the group decides to go and find the descendants of Frey and Freya first, because Frey and Freya are twins, so the descendants have to be twins, because otherwise this book would be too long. Also, Freya is a boy and Freya is a girl. To find them, the Valkyries tell them that they have to go to Mount Rushmore. You know, that thing with the faces of 4 presidents. So when they get there, they hang around until it's dark and the park closes. At night, different parts of the president's faces begin to move. That's because they're trolls. And no, trolls, by the way, do not look like tiny, multicolored things that love music. No, they're giant, made of stone, have terrible breath, and can and will kill you. They capture a troll and make it tell them where the descendants of Frey and Freya are. They do it by tricking the troll into thinking that it could have Matt's hammer amulet thing. Trolls aren't that smart. They eventually find out that the twins are in Deadwood, which is a city. To get to Deadwood, they sneak onto a school bus of some sort, and when the bus stops, everybody gets out to go to a museum. The three decide to go into the museum, circle back, and leave so that they can walk 3 miles to Deadwood. On the way, they run into a police officer who says that Matt and Lori both have an APB on them because they ran away from home. They escape, find their way to a cemetery, and end up finding the twins. The twins run away after the three try to talk to them. The three decide to walk around the city and go back to the cemetery afterwards to try to find and talk to the twins again. The twins, by the way, have a huge house and are rich. They eventually find the twins and also see them get abducted by trolls. They follow them, fight the trolls, and get the twins back. We also learn the twins' names, Ray and Reyna. Ray is the boy, Reyna is the girl. Only one problem. They can't get out. Well, it's over, I guess. Roll the credits. Just kidding. They have plot armor. Lori somehow makes a portal. I guess that's her special ability. The only logical thing to do in this situation is jump in, so they all jump in. When they land, they meet Baldwin, who is a descendant of Balder. So boom, we've now met all the champions for the gods. For Thor, Matt. For Loki, Fenn, and Lori who tagged along. For Frey and Freya, Ray and Reyna. Baldwin, as I said before, is a descendant of the god Balder, who makes everybody happy, which can be a pretty useful skill, and is also invulnerable, which means he can't get hurt, which is also super useful. The only thing that can hurt or kill him is mistletoe. For Odin, Owen, if you haven't picked up on that. He's the guy who claimed to be Odin. You know, the guy who talked to Lori at the fair. Blue hair. I want to point something out that I noticed. All of the descendants have names that sound somewhat like the god that they're representing. Lori and Fenn? Well, Lori sounds a bit like Loki, and I think there's a wolf or something in Norse mythology that's named Fenrir. Frey and Freya? Do I really even have to point that out? Just get rid of the F and add an N to Freya, and then boom, Ray and Reyna. Balder, Baldwin. Odin, Owen. And then Matt. Thor and Matt do not sound alike at all. Just a little something I've noticed. So they all go to Baldwin's house, and lucky for them, Baldwin's parents aren't there. They're on vacation. They meet Astrid, who claims to be a descendant of a witch and also claims to be Owen's girlfriend. They end up fighting monsters called Marr. Marr are things that create nightmares and try to kill you. The nightmares, however, are not like the kind of nightmares you experience when you're asleep. No, these feel much, much, much more real. They are able to defeat the Marr, but Lori's arm gets broken in the process. Ray and Reyna are able to use magic to fix it, though. Afterwards, they go to get the shield back from the raiders by going through Lori's portal. The shield, by the way, happens to be the shield that Fenn gave to the raiders. How unlucky. Matt and Baldwin go to the camp and manage to take the shield, but they get caught in the process. After a short battle, they manage to escape back to Baldwin's house through one of Lori's portals. When they were at the raider camp, they found out that Fenn was supposed to deliver Matt to the raiders, but they eventually got over that. They decide to get pizza to eat to celebrate. Baldwin asks for the spicy pepper flakes, but when Fenn puts them on and Baldwin eats it, he dies. The reason is because someone put mistletoe shavings in the pepper flakes. I'm assuming that it looked a little something like this. I'm just kidding. He choked, but it'd be funnier if it looked like that. So Matt is sitting there grieving, then it clicks. He realizes that Astrid was the one who set up the table, so she must have put the mistletoe shavings in the pepper flakes. He also sees that his shield is gone. He puts 2 and 2 together, then realizes that Astrid murdered Baldwin and took the shield. He chases after Astrid and gets the shield back, but Astrid escapes. When he gets back, they decide to go to Hell, which is the underworld for Norse mythology. They decide to go to Hell and get Baldwin back, and that's the end. There's a second and a third book, so you can read that to find out what happens next. You should also read this book, as I didn't go into too much detail because I wanted to try to keep it shorter. I hope you enjoyed my presentation. I'd say thanks for watching, but you really had no choice. Goodbye!